This has been a fairly good period for mail. This very heavy package, I have to say, this is one of the weightiest packages I've gotten in quite some time. This is from Kenzer Co. Kenzer and Company, makers of Aces and Eights, among other things, Knights of the Dinner Table, and of course, Hackmaster. And believe it or not, as I know people who follow this channel will be surprised, this is a Hackmaster product. I haven't ordered a hardcover product directly from Kenzer and Company since Aces and Eights first came out, and although I did have my YouTube channel back in those days, I wasn't doing unboxings or anything like that. So this will be the first, under the hood look at how they send stuff to you. Now what this is the Game Master's Guide for Hackmaster 5th edition. I was gifted a number of 4th edition and 5th edition products, including the leather-bound Player's Guide and the leather-bound Hacklopedia of Beasts, and it just seemed to me that I really needed to complete that collection out, and as they're sitting up there, I really don't want them to go to waste just sitting on the shelf, so I will actually be learning the game and giving it a shot, which will be my first time to touch anything even remotely like D&D in 20 years practically. So, interesting times. Let's take a look at the Game Master's Guide. I've already described on the channel before why it is I stopped playing Dungeons and Dragons, and of course things like levels are just not a part of games that I find myself playing. It's a preference thing. Also, I guess the default assumptions for play in Dungeons and Dragons don't tend to cross over too many areas of overlap with what I'm interested in. So it just makes more sense for me to play different games. Now there's enough innovation in Hackmaster 5th edition that it has me curious, and while this would never be something I would do for long-term play, I'm really interested in seeing how the initiative system, which came in from Aces and Eights and other things peculiar to Hackmaster 5th edition, how they affect play, what it'll be like to run the game. This is our first look inside. It's a black leather-bound volume. You can see that there's some smushing around the corner. This may or may not have been the result of transit. You can see signs of compression on the box if you look carefully, but a lot of these things come from the printer that way. So they're certainly going to wind up that way with shelfware. So it's not something I try to concern myself with, but just so you know, box is heavy cardboard. It's fitted exactly to the product. Your receipt's packed with the product. Now, here's something that's a little more troubling. The corners definitely have taken some kind of impact that I wouldn't say is necessarily mirrored on the outside of the box, but that is where the join is. Some people care about that kind of stuff, some people don't. All right, compared to look at that, how much more black can you get? There's a Spinal Tap joke lurking everywhere, even in role-playing games. The front cover is also marred, so that front corner definitely took a beating. That's a shame. Okay, the leather on the Player's Guide is more textured. I'll show both of those at the end of this video. The Hacklopedia of Beasts, of course, has a feel of a creature's skin, and is embossed with that big eye. There's a coat of arms kind of thing on the front of the Player's Guide. The Game Master's Guide is just blank, which I kind of like. These books are full color and heavy glossy pages. If you've seen Aces and Eights or any other of the Kenzer hardcovers, you know what I'm talking about. These are pretty much the top of the line as far as books go. Okay, so now it's at home and on the shelf. As I was explaining earlier, several years ago, a friend of mine left Korea, and he didn't take all of his collection with him, and he left me as a gift the Hackmaster's Player's Handbook, which was new then, and the Hacklopedia of Beasts. And he left me some 4th edition Hackmaster stuff, and there's some similarity, of course, but You know, Hackmaster in its earlier incarnations is definitely designed to be a joke, and in this incarnation definitely isn't. And it employs a lot of things from Aces and Eights, in terms of combat at least, that we really enjoyed as a group. Aces and Eights combat is some of the most satisfying combat that I've used pretty much ever. So seeing how that would be incorporated into a fantasy game, particularly one drawn from the roots of D&D, well, that intrigued me. I didn't think I would ever play it, but I had it in the back of my head that it would be nice to have the complete set. Now that I've completed the set, I feel like it is, as I said before, kind of ridiculous just to have it sitting there. So my intention now is to use it. A quick survey of the books shows us that a lot of loving attention was put into each of them. Now, I think the most striking is the Hacklopedia of Beasts, the bestiary for the game. But there is a lot of interesting detail on the cover of the Player's Handbook, just the largest of the three. The Game Master's book is just black, as I mentioned earlier. Black enough to leave glossy, fingerprint evidence behind. Let's take a look inside each of the books. The Player's Guide is full color, glossy throughout, with different types of art. There's the kind of evocative black and white line art that reminds you of your early days playing D&D, or reminds me of it anyway. There's lots of charts. It's not a lot of art. There are a lot of charts. And the book is pretty well organized. Now, this type of game is really not the sort of game that I have come to appreciate and play. But I think going back to this style of play for a short period of time could be fun, particularly if Hackmaster addresses some of the things about Dungeons and Dragons that pretty much ended my interest in that style of system. Now, this is still a level-based system, and I'm not a big fan of those, but there may be enough perks that it balances out for a short run. Character creation is quite involved, but personally, I enjoy that as it gives me a good mental space for character creation. And I mean the personality of the character more so than the what can they do or what are they supposed to do. Inside the Hacklopedia of Beasts, I really liked the way that they approached it. We have simple art, but then we have things like footprints, where they are in the assumed core world that goes with the game, size comparison, and then its quick stats along the side, and then how they might fight, the ecology of it, and so on. And you get this 2-page spread for everything in the book. So it's more like reading a journal of an adventurer than reading through a dry, stat-heavy monster manual sort of thing. Pretty cool. And this brings us to the Game Master's Guide, the all-black cover. And it looks pretty much like the Player's Guide. It still has notes and that sort of thing, but it's focused very specifically on, campaign play. There's magic items, there's running 0-level characters, and dealing with experience points and all that stuff. So yeah. The core books for Hackmaster are now complete in my collection, which is not something I ever would have expected, but here they are, and I find myself really intrigued about what it will be like to run them. So I'd like to finish off this tale with a tale of great customer service. Now, when I ordered, I used the Kenzer & Company website directly to get the Game Master's Guide. It wasn't available from the usual sources. And I was also looking to get the PDF combo. When I ordered, there was a slight problem. And I only bring this up because I would like to highlight how excellent their customer service was. My problem was resolved within a few hours of me bringing it to their attention. I couldn't access the PDF download, although the order had been processed. They took care of everything, and It's sad that in this day and age, excellent customer service stands out as much as it does, but it did make an impression on how well they they dealt with my inquiry and how quickly they took care of everything. So there you go. Not only does Kenzer and Company take the time and effort to produce gorgeous, solid, well put together books, not only are they proud of the material that they produce, they're also very professional when it comes to dealing with you online. Here endeth the unboxing of the Game Master's Guide for Hackmaster 5th Edition. You may find more stuff appearing here and there on the channel or on the blog as a result of all this. Mostly because my exploration of fantasy is winding down. We've had over a year of running RuneQuest. We've had the last few months of me getting deep into the lore of Warhammer fantasy roleplay. I'd like to balance all of that out with a look at what Hackmaster offers in that vein as well.